Hello, everyone, and welcome to Do Something for the Kids, the podcast. Today, I have three exceptional guests that are going to help us with our roundtable discussion today. We're going to talk about various topics that apply to life, goals in life, and pursuing dreams, and how those dreams either gave out failures, regrets, or created admiration and power for the next person. Today we have three people that I like to mention. Two have been here before, but one in particular is new to our particular show. We'd like to welcome Dr. Nikki Miller. We'd also like to welcome my lawyer, our lawyer, everybody's lawyer, Miss Adrian Satchel. And also the man that I know is faster than Wikipedia. The man that has every knowledge in the book. I like to call him Google, but we know him as Mr. David Cook. And as well, I'm your host, Ernest T. Brown, as well as my co-host, Mr. Shantario Stevens.
How everybody doing?
Mr. Stevens. Today, y'all, I thank y'all for coming on, especially you, Dr. Nikki, for taking time out of your busy schedule to embark on this journey with us today. As we're going to start, I do want to ask this one question for all of y'all to see if, I want to get y'all insight on different things today. And one of the first things I want to know is, what are y'all thoughts about life and the influences on life and your actions in life? And that might sound a little crazy how I asked it. So please, if you didn't understand how I asked it, please ask me again and we'll go from there. But again, I want to know your thoughts on life and the influences and actions that you have embarked on life that have gotten you to a certain level in life, or even your thoughts on life, period.
What kind of heavy question?
It is, Dr. Nikki, and see, me knowing the lawyer, I thought she was going to go ahead and grab it and take hold. But since you said something first, Dr. Nikki, would you love to elaborate on that for us?
Yes. So your first part, you said, repeat your first part again. I know the influence was the back end.
What are your thoughts?
How do we perceive life right now?
Kind of, sort of, yes. What are your thoughts on life? What is your perception of life now? And I'm gonna rephrase it. What is your perception of life now versus when you were younger? If that makes more sense.
No. You got it. I was just trying to bring it all together. So my thoughts on life today in this era is very challenging. Why? Because of the things that we encounter day to day. Whether it's due to our ethnicity, whether it's due to our education background, whether it's due to the community we come out of, whether it's due to your direct peers, your indirect peers, life, it has different caveats, different clusters of how you embrace it based on your lived experience. But, targeting the youth, in which this is what the podcast is geared towards, is really challenging for youth today, because of all of the disarray that's going on around them and the different verbiage and opinions they're hearing and witnessing. I would say in one word, challenging.
Got you. And I want to go a little bit more in depth with you, Dr. Nikki, about that because, you're a lot. We didn't get into this part in the beginning because a lot of times I like for the person to, in some aspects, tell a little bit more about itself. Usually I'm already giving out the flowers today. Like I said, it's a little different for me. But a lot of people don't know Dr. Nikki is the reason why me and probably Mr. Stevens were able to get out of college, because she gave us the 411, the 911, and the 876-888-457-3495.
Come on now.
On financial aid while I was at UNC Pembroke. I can't remember a person who was more dedicated to help somebody achieve their goals in college, or better yet, it wasn't even about college with her. She just saw young individuals and she wanted to make sure they had the right information. And we're going to get more into who Dr. Nikki is today and in one of our future interviews. But I do want to elaborate on that because, you know, a lot of the aspects of what you just talked about, in regards to your thoughts on life helped us get to a certain point because you always gave us that type of knowledge every time we stepped into that room because we knew for a fact if we came to you, we found out exactly what we need to do to be able to maximize our financial aid at UNC Pembroke versus somebody else might tell us, you don't have any more financial aid at all.
Right.
So I do thank you for that. Now, as I want to go to our lawyer, and the funny thing, y'all, we have to mention her name every show when the affidavit comes.
Oh, yes.
So when you see the previous show that we done and we had to mention her name, y'all are going to have a ball with that. But as for you, Miss Satchel, what are your thoughts as of how life influenced you and some of the actions that you had in life? How did it help you along the way?
I mean, I think generic answer is life is hard in general. You know, I mean, I think everybody has their daily struggles. I think from my past of what I saw when I was younger to what I think now about life is that life is short. Like, you know, you don't realize how life is short when you're younger. You know, you think you're invincible. And so you don't double think things. As I get older, I'm approaching this big 40 coming in. You know, life. I look at life a lot differently, and I want to live life to the fullest and take advantage of all my opportunities, and not say, "Well, I'll look at it tomorrow," or "I'll take care of it tomorrow." I think it's more like, "What can I do today?" I want to maximize my day. Versus when I was younger, it was just like, "Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow." Or I'll do it next week. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I view life right
now. I can't disagree with you per the affidavit that you gave us in your previous interview, so that does answer my question.
No further comment.
No further comment. Now, Mr. David Crook, aka Google. And I'm going to highlight this Google guy so much today. Same question to you, sir. How do you feel like life and its influences have shaped and molded you as well as your actions in life?
You know, I think Shakespeare said it right. The world is a stage, and every actor plays their part.
Google.
And you know, both good and bad. So, you know, being in the military for 10 years now, you get great leaders, and that's awesome when you do get those. But unfortunately, you get a lot more bad leaders, and that's not just in the military, that's in life. But the thing is, it's what you do with, you know, the people you come across. Every actor playing their part. And the leaders that show you the wrong way to do it influence you just as much, if not more, than the leaders, you know, the rarity against those great leaders. You know, I told you my motto before: leave it better than you found it. Leave more than you take. And so as I've gotten older, you know, I think we're all self-centered as teenagers, right? It's just kind of how you are, you know, the hormones, puberty, whatever excuse you want to make it. But as I've gotten older, I've found that the more I give, the more I receive. But that's not the reason we do it, right? You know, we give back more. We want to leave it better than we found it. And I think for me, just to kind of sum it up, it's about legacy. Like when I pass away and it's my funeral, or people talk about me, I want them to say, like, for me, you know, it's hard to work in the world. Gave back to them. You know, so I think it's about legacy for others to kind of emulate and take it and do better than you did, you know, in the long run. Because you don't just want to accomplish. It's cool you accomplish stuff, you know, but you can go faster alone, but you can go farther together. So I think that's kind of, you know, my take on life.
Gotcha. And very well said. You know, because I think you hit something on the head I've been thinking about in life a lot, especially when I'm not the best articulator when it comes to certain things. And I guess I say that because, you know, for me, I understand it, but the next person may not understand how I deliver it. So thank you for that particular piece. because, honestly, I don't have to say too much after Mr. David Crook says a lot. Just being funny, y'all, being funny. But Mr. Stevens, I want to ask you this question as well. How do you feel like your thoughts on life and influences and the actions that you have made again? I can't even say it right. Mr. Stevens, how you feel like your thoughts on life and the influences on life have affected your actions in life?
Well, I've had a lot of things go wrong in life. I've been at points where I've had a lot of things and lost it. And when I lost it, I found out that I don't really need it. So, like Crook said, now, even if I do have it, I'm trying to give it back. I feel like everybody have a purpose in life. And that's what I learned. Everybody do, regardless of where you at. So now I reach on to it. Reach on to it and just keep grabbing and keep pulling myself towards helping another person. So if anybody need me or whatever, you can just, I guess, reach out and you can find me, and life. Like my mother passing in this Mother's Day weekend, that right there is an experience in itself. And it makes me want to help other people that's in that spot. Yeah. I mean, Trav, I know it's gonna be rough with you. So, but that's how life is. Life throws us things and we have to pick ourselves up and show the next generation that you can make it too. Like with any type of situation. It's like, you gotta put one foot in front of the other, whether it's slow, fast, running, crawling, whatever. So I guess I can say that's what life taught me. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, whether it's slow or fast. Don't give up on any dream that you have.
Well, Google, Mr. Stevens is coming for your crown.
I see that. Very well spoken.
I must say, Mr. Stevens, well spoken. I must say, Stevens, you sound like you from Rosen County for real today.
She got jokes. She has jokes.
I didn't even know who was talking, to be honest. I was like, who's talking? They're so funny. My boys have grown up to be grown men. Wow.
Yeah, we was kind of crazy back then, huh?
Man, if we have that show, I think we might get banned. But Mr. Stevens says something that I'm going to elaborate on. Honestly, everybody, I really haven't grieved yet, and I don't know when I will. The funny thing about it, it is rough for me. If anybody know, I've been trying to stay busy, and since my mom passed, I really haven't slowed down. I went head first into this podcast and everything else I've been trying to build. I've been going head first into it. I would not lie to y'all, the tears fall every day. I probably have cried every day since May 24th, 2012. And it hasn't stopped now. I think the difficult part, for a lot of people, when you lose people that you love and you care about, it's difficult because we don't prepare for those things. Now, and I won't lie to y'all, I actually prepared for my mom passing. But not knowing exactly when she'll pass. I kind of got some signs along the way that helped me understand what I need to do. And I actually moved back from Indianapolis, Indiana, on a whim because my mind kept telling me you can't have any regrets. And the time I got to spend with my mom before she passed was great, but it was even better that my sister got to spend the time that she needed to. So when she passed, I'm not gonna lie, I was in a state of shock. I probably didn't talk that week, and if I did, it was very minimal to people. But at the same time, I knew that what I was preparing for in her passing, that I could take that energy and give to the next person to be able to help them deal with things. And so that's why, when Mr. Stevens saying that, and it hit, I'm not gonna lie, it hit a nerve, not a bad nerve, but it hit a nerve. we have to cherish this time that we have and these influences. And that's why, we built this show, because we want people to understand that there's somebody just like you. There's somebody that has these feelings, thoughts, and beliefs and want to tell you these things to help you get where you need to be. But in our society, our life, we're too scared to embrace difference from other people. We're scared to embrace somebody telling us knowledge. I live by this creed. The least likely person is going to be the person that's going to help me achieve what I need to achieve. It's not going to be the person that you think it's going to be. And I don't know, has that been that way for you all as well?
I can agree with that.
Absolutely.
And I think I can also elaborate and say the people that you think are going to be there are the ones that are there.
That's true. That's true.
Boom.
Hey, I want to say this. I'm gonna give my brother a shout out. We all know him as I'm gonna call him out today. We all know him as Little Head Sid. But Cedric Harris is my brother, and the reason why I say that, because when I met Sid, I thought I would never be able to rely on him. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that because Sid was the type of person, like, he had so much going on. I was like, man, if I ever fall in the crack, am I going to ever be able to rely on this guy to help me? And the funny thing about it is 10 out of 10 times, I'm going to say 11 out of 10 times, he's delivered. If I ever really needed something and I called him, he was the first person to probably respond and give versus anybody that I probably relied on my whole life. And it's weird because, when you look at it, it's like, man, that ain't going to be the person to help you. That ain't going to be the person to be there for you. But he actually was the person that was there for me through thick and thin, some harsh, terrible times. And I could elaborate, but we'll be here all night long if I start talking about everything that somebody did and helped me get along the way. But I do want to ask y'all this in going forward, because I know everybody had that person who came out of the woodworks you didn't know. You might have met the person 5 minutes and they probably would do more for you than the person that you know for 40, 50 years of your life, 20, 30 years of your life, or even grew up with in certain aspects. In that case, I do want to jump to this situation right here. Did you think in life you would be where you are now? Based on what you were exposed to and based on what you thought you was going to be growing up?
Absolutely not. No.
Dr. Nikki almost hit us with the Jamaican. No, man. No. Hey, Dr. Nikki.
Have a clue.
Okay, let me ask this question. What did you want to be growing up?
And you know what? And because my background is higher ed, 25, 26 plus years and counting, right? I never wanted a degree at all. So where did doctor come from, right? Working at Pembroke, parents will come and think I was a work study student. And I was like, no, so what do you have a degree in? I said, I have a degree in salvation. And I did that for years when I decided, why not take the opportunity and get your degree free because you work for the university? And never wanted a degree, just really because I know the things God has for us is for us, degree or no degree, right? So that was my stubbornness going forth. But as I continue to embrace and impact students pursuing their degree, I decided to get my degree myself. It's really weird because I tell people all the time, I never wanted a degree. But to make a long story short, just the impact that I see professors have on students and persons as myself in student enrollment, when you're assisting the student prior to them, doing a tour or prior to them calling, trying to get, especially in financial aid, you're trying to get the cost to see if you're even going to accept the acceptance letter, right? Just seeing how we play a part in enrollment services and how that impacts the family. And the best thing of all, one of your worst students could be your best student and come back and say thank you Because if it were not talking about you, Ernest, but I'm saying, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have got my degree.
Dropping
no.
bombs.
But no, listen, I've heard that from the worst students ever. I felt like I was being punked, especially at Coastal, dealing with a lot of Northern students, right? Arrogant, cocky, set in their own ways. All of this negative behavior, they come and they have to embrace the Southern Belle. It's like they realize that was my true innocence. And then they will come back and say, thank you, with tears in their eyes. And I'm like, wow. So this is what my people at UNCP, this is what they meant, right? With you guys, I was just doing my job because I seen you as my children. And I seen sowing a seed into you as someone would do my own personal children, my boys, right? Mm-hmm. So I just did it because it was the right thing to do. But as I matured in higher ed, I realized it was definitely the right thing to do because the people spending money and people depending on you for guidance, right? So because people depend on you for guidance, it's the right thing to do. But you guys empowered me to be all I could be, right? I never thought I would have a PhD, never that, because I didn't like school that much, right? Mm-hmm. But I realized the impact that I had, and I wanted to continue to be a trailblazer, especially for my community, especially for the worst side in Robeson County. I wanted to be a trailblazer and let them know, I came out the project too. I came out of a single home. My mom was in and out with great aunts and uncles because my dad was abusive, So we was in and out. Yeah, he was in the military, but they made up the breakup. So we was in and out. I had a terrible childhood growing up mentally because all of this stuff impacts your childhood. But I always just wanted to be better than how I was raised so I can show someone else they can be better than how I was raised. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, we got.
So just that positive, I would say my students got me to where I am today. Honestly.
I'm going to say thank you for calling me one of your worst students before my lawyer. Before my lawyer takes credit for giving you that.
No, you guys like to come in the office and sit in there.
I was coming in, Ernest.
I was coming in. He wasn't the worst. He was one of the students that wanted to come in and sit and talk like I didn't have no work to do. So that was good.
I sure did.
Yeah, they respected that. They knew I had a group of Kappas, and then I had a group of Omegas that always come in the office and sit and look at me. And I had work.
Hey, but listen though. I'm gonna say this. I sure did. But at the same time, I literally came in there because I wanted to learn. And like I didn't, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't learn how to actually learn from people until 4.5 years ago. And the thing is, like, if you don't know, you got to ask questions. But sometimes people don't want to answer your questions. But then I didn't know how to ask the question. All I knew was to come in there and look like, hey, I'm gonna soak up some knowledge. She gonna think I'm just in here to look, but I'm in here soaking up knowledge the whole time. She think I'm coming here to bother her, but nah, I'm soaking up knowledge. And the school official's gonna be like, well, why he not in class? Because class is not important to me. Me learning something about financial aid process is important to me because y'all holding our money.
He's not asking questions though. He's just sitting there.
I didn't know how to ask those questions back then. All I knew how, like, from how I grew up, if you watch somebody long enough, you'll pick up on some things.
That's right.
So I didn't know. And I mean, maybe that's one of my regrets in life, but we'll get to that part later.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, Mr. David Crook.
What's up, man?
Do you feel like for yourself that your life influences and actions got you where you are now, or is it more or less the things that you experience? And it's going to sound the same. The things that you experience in certain situations got you where to be. And the reason why I say it's going to sound the same, but to me it's different, because we all experience things in different realms. There's a personal realm, a professional realm, and then there's that in-between realm that kind of blends both. So I guess what I'm asking you is, how did you get where you are today? For from the aspect of not knowing where you wanted to be when you was younger, or did you know where you was going to, or where you were going to be when you was younger? I mean, you are Google, so you might have knew it.
So, what is it? The saying, for every closed door, there's an open door.
Yes.
I'm not negative, but just to be real, there's a lot more closed doors, right? But those closed doors lead you down the hallway to the open door. So for me, it was a lot of, Sean made a good point. It's a lot more failures than success, right? And that's how you become successful. So for me, it was a lot of closed doors and opportunities that didn't work out. And, we spoke earlier, all three of our fathers are 82nd. So Fayetteville, I grew up there, and I told you my father was self-support, special forces and stuff. The last thing I wanted to do was join the Army. I joined at 29, so that's older. And then I was going to commission to become an officer, but the timetable didn't work out. And so I had actually moved back to Fayetteville to teach high school, and then that didn't work out because I had a lateral entry program. And I didn't want to continue to pursue education. It was just I came straight out of school and, got a decent job. So I went to the recruiting office. I tested off the charts. I was like top 1%, physically, mentally, scholastically, everything. Didn't expect to test that high. So that kind of, boosted my confidence. And when I found out pretty much any opportunity I was seeking was on the table. And I was going to go to California for language school. And they were going to pay off my college loans. And if I did additional contracts, they would pay me to go to school and get my master's. So initially, I went in. My reasons were very self-centered. I'm gonna keep it real, right? It was about me. It wasn't about serving my country like my father did and my uncle. They were Rangers and Green Berets. It was nothing like that. I'm just gonna be real. People like to go back and sugarcoat it, right? They knew all along. No, I was doing it for me. I wanted to get back out of Fayetteville. I wanted my loans paid off. They were offering me additional money because of my scores. I was like, man, I'm gonna go to California. After California, I went to Texas, and then didn't like Texas as much. So I was planning on getting out. And at the time, I was married, and for me to stay with my wife, I had to move to Hawaii, right? So again, me still serving myself. I was like, well, I'll go to Hawaii. Why? Because I like Hawaii. Hawaii's gonna be great for me, my wife. So up to this point, I think I've been in the Army about 4 years, all for selfish reasons, right? What I noticed along the way was the times when I wasn't selfish. It was when, I'm a personal trainer now, and I'm a certified master fitness trainer, like National Association of Sports Medicine, and that's what I'm going to pursue in my life. Along the way, I didn't realize that there was times when I wasn't being selfish when I was training people, but that didn't occur to me because I was like, well, I'm at the gym, so I'm already here working out. I'm going to help them out. And that brought me here. And then when I got here, I got promoted twice, like in 1.5 years. In the military, that doesn't happen. Doesn't matter what branch you're in. Just again, a lot of closed doors open, the other doors. And so I was in charge of a lot of people really quick and put in positions I wasn't prepared for. And my leadership style first in the military. You can come to people, you can yell, you can get away with it. That's what I did, right? And it wasn't the type of person I wanted to be. And people would actually start to come to me for help that I wasn't in charge of leading or supervising because they said I was a down-to-earth person. And that kind of just opened my eyes. Because in the military, people don't really understand. You're not just in charge of them at work. You're in charge of their livelihood. You are responsible for a soldier 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, especially with me having top-secret clearance. If someone doesn't respond in an hour, we have to hunt them down. And you set up a false report, like you try to cover for somebody, oh, they're good, and they're in a ditch somewhere dead. Now you're federally liable for that person, an accessory to that, because of their clearance and their caveat, and you sending up a false report. So in the mix of me being selfish and serving, my own self-centered reasons, I fell in love with, and I think, Dr. Miller said it, with serving others and giving back. At first, I'm not going to serve nobody. I'm the leader. I'm the supervisor. I'm in charge, which is the wrong attitude. I got to the point as I ranked up higher, I never used my rank as influence. You can, it's a hierarchical system. I didn't use my rank, right, to influence, tell people what to do. I'd ask them. I'd listen to what they had to say. We would talk about it. I didn't quote doctrine or anything. Me, I'm Google. I had doctrine down if someone wanted to oppose it. The Army runs off doctrine since 1775. But I found in the mix of things that I enjoyed helping people and serving people, and it didn't make me lesser than. It actually built me up. And when you achieve something, it's awesome, right? It's great. You feel it's an inexplicable feeling. But what's crazy is when you help someone else achieve something, and they overcome the failures and the setbacks, I think I get, you know, I was a high school wrestling coach too, man. I was a state champion. When I got someone else to be a state champion, I was more excited for their accomplishment. So I went back to that feeling, and when I help a soldier get promoted, or, you know, I help them stay in the Army, they're about to get kicked out because they're too slow or their weight isn't the standards, you know, with the military doctrine. And just, you know, it's not like they became a champion or anything, but just seeing the appreciation they had and you helping their livelihood, that's what got me to where I'm at today. Was, like I said earlier, once I stopped being selfless and serving others, intentionally or not, it kind of just became my calling, you know, which is why, like, I did the fundraiser, you know, with raising the money for the anti-racist education, or continuing to help build soldiers. I could have became an officer and got paid way more money because I already have a degree. And what's crazy is, man, I didn't pursue that path. I could have easily commissioned, you know, I'd have been a great officer, would have pretty much doubled my pay, but I wouldn't have any hands-on action with the soldiers anymore. And I'm, you know, I'm a lead from the front soldier. I'm not like, you know, you got those coaches that get on the floor or with the kids, basketball, football, out in the field with them, and you got the ones that blow the whistle. I'm not a whistleblower. You know, I'm going to get out there with them and do it. I'm going to lead from the front. So, yeah, that's how I kind of got to this point, you know, in the service of others and developing others. And I just saw the change you can make in people's lives, and just, you know, do my best to diversify that and get more reach and influence. And just, you know, lead by example.
No problem, no problem. I do want to highlight the fact that Dr. Miller is so fly that she could do an interview anywhere. Even, hey, she's not driving, y'all. The road is driving her.
That's the Spike Lee, just glides. She has the Spike Lee glide.
She just glides. Hey.
Pardon me, guys. I'm sorry. But listen, yeah, we rocking this thing. Let's get it.
Hey, no problem, no problem. We actually had somebody on one time, and my lawyer is going to make me sign an affidavit for this. We had somebody stop time during the show and still had the show going.
Really?
Yes, we have another lady, Adrian Satchel, who made the show rotate around her during the time that she was on the show. You're not going to call me out on this show, lawyer, and think I'm not going to say what I'm going to say when I want to say it. Now, like I told y'all before, we're going to have fun on the show because this is what it's about. Everybody giving insight to who they are, and us being able to have this roundtable discussion and, you know, joke about certain things and get serious at the same level is really great. Miss Satchel had told us a lot about, you know, the reason she got to the level that she's at and how she got there before her previous interview. But I don't think we ever got to ask you, like, you know, I'm not going to say exactly how'd you get where you are or why did you get where you are. I know you told us what got you there. I guess that what I want to ask now, I'm a little different from everybody else. I know you didn't. I know you said you did. You say you wanted to be a lawyer from a certain age, or it just kind of fell in your lap? I can't remember. You know, please help me out with that.
Since I was 5 years old.
Since you was 5 years old. So y'all listen to this. Since she was 5 years old, she's been planning to find a way
to argue
with us.
to argue with anyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that part because hey, she ain't turned down no dollar. But she's found a way to argue with us and tell us what was wrong about. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna say this on the show, but check your mail when you get home. Check your mail when you get home.
I definitely will.
But since you knew that from 5 years old what you wanted to do, do you feel like there's something that you missed along the way in pursuit of goals and dreams? Because a lot of times, you know, and I say it like this. When I was younger, I thought I was going to be two things: an NFL football player or a basketball player. And the funny thing about it, I said, if I ever make it to 6'5", I'm in the NBA. Well, unfortunately, I didn't make it to nothing but 6'1", and a little chunky. And so once I got on the football field, I was like, oh, you're going to be nice. You're going to be nice. And then, in the midst of that dream, y'all, life struck me. And I'm a curse on the show explicitly right now. I said, fuck it.
Okay.
At 15 years old, I said, fuck it. I gave up that dream because and the reality for me was I saw a bigger dream. Who's going to be able to tell the story of failure? And the thing was, when I was growing up, there was so much going on around me that I had questions about that nobody could answer these questions for me. And it scared me because it affected my life tremendously, even to this day. But I don't regret giving up that goal, that dream, because the dream now is to help other people get to where I thought I was going to be. But I'm actually where I'm supposed to be. So, again, when I asked you that, Miss Satchel, do you feel like there's something that you left behind chasing that goal since 5 years old? Do you regret it?
I don't. I don't have any regrets. I don't feel like I left anything on the table. I feel like being an attorney is my calling. And every struggle that I went through to get to this point, to be able to call myself Esquire, it was all worth it, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Hey!
Now you got your cheerleader in the background. This is getting even worse. I thought I had somebody that was going to be on my team today. Everybody's against Mr. Brown except me and Google. Shantario went to the dark side a long time ago. I'm sorry, Mr. Stevens went to the dark side a long time ago.
You are so funny.
Hey, I wish I could share that conversation with y'all that we had with our lawyer, Sean's lawyer.
Oh, just mine.
Your lawyer.
Hey, look, listen, you got fired 5 times. Now, the funny thing, y'all, I cannot fire her. She comes back with an affidavit that says, you cannot fire me because as soon as you sign me to be your lawyer, I'm your lawyer for life. And I'm like, how can I have a lawyer for life?
For life.
Hey, that's a true one. She's true.
We
She's a real VIP.
together. That's
Listen,
it.
y'all two bullies are not going to get me today. I tell y'all that. Nah, I love both of y'all because y'all are good, genuine people, and I can have this fun with both of y'all, especially my lawyer, Miss Satchel, before she sends the affidavits out because I have to keep her. Again, we have to mention her name every show. For now on, if not, she's going to send out the affidavit.
You're so funny.
But
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
When it comes to the question you just questioned, and how Mr. Cook conveyed why he is what he is today outside of the failed attempts, right? And how Esquire, honey, put some respect on that. I admire you. It's catchy. But the thing about it is, in my years in higher ed, and students coming in the office with their grandparents, vice versa, their parents or great aunt or uncle that raised them, they always come in the office doing what they want them to do. Not what they want to do, but what they want them to do. So the average student comes in not doing what they've always admired to do. They come in, especially if you have a parent that's in the education field, they want to be a teacher because mom said there's money in the teaching department, or dad said there's money to be in a history major because you're going to convert over into law. So I ran into a lot of students that I impacted on just doing really like an educational intervention on what you want to do and why. And your why will discover if you're going to be in school longevity, if your retention is going to be high or low, or will you make it to the end? Because if you don't make it to the end, you're not in the degree or the career profession that you always wanted to be in. And I think like majority of us out here today, when we have that aha moment, which I did, sounds like what David did, it's like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, really, wow. Why didn't I know this 35 years ago?
Right.
But on the journey there of failures, of potholes, I ran track in high school, but all the hurdles that I didn't lift my legs up correctly and fall on, I realized I wouldn't be who I am today, serving the communities at large. It doesn't matter near or far. If you're contacting me about some type of service, I'm within your community, right? So that's my mindset, to lead from the front, not the back, to get into the trenches and dig a path in order for you to go through it, to just lead by example. But my heart is to speak to young adults, to speak to teenagers, and let's know why you're doing what you do, because it's a lot of money at stake, and time, you cannot catch up with time. Time is wasted every second. So I want to I want them to discover their why, and why they want to go to school, why they want to go in the military, why they want to work at Big Lots instead of go to college for free in some states. I want them to know their why, so they won't regret it, and they won't blame anybody else, and why they're still stagnant, and they're 38, 32, 28, 29 and a half, and they still trying to figure out where they want to go in life. Okay, I'm a hush.
You ain't got
I
a
think
hush.
they both made a great point. You know, when Esquire over here was 5, she knew she wanted to be a lawyer, right? And then when Dr. Miller found her why, and she gives all these, you know, these future students their why, that's how you discover the how. I think a lot of times the what, the how, the why, the when, the where, we get those confused. And I guess there's different interpretations. But if you have the why, like she was 5, she had her why. She's an adult now, she's a lawyer. The how was there. You know, like Dr. Miller said, she gives these kids their why. Once you have the why, the how is, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get this financial aid. I'm going to, do work studies. I'm going to get my undergrad in criminal justice and go to law school. But once you get that, I talk about motivation versus inspiration. Motivated, cool. Hey, I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to go to class. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to bills. Yeah. But it's those days when, hey, I don't want to do this shit, which is more often than not. You have to be dedicated and inspired when it's like, I don't want to do this. But then you're like, since you have your why, it's like, I don't have to. I want to fucking do this, you know? And I think that's the thing. People sell fake sunshine and rainbows and stuff. And everyone's mentioned here, I'm very glad. The potholes, the hurdles, the stumbling, the personal stuff in your life, the things you go through, all that builds up, and it's part of the how, if you have that why. Because it's, like you fall down 3 times to get up 4, things like that. If you didn't have that resistance, that, whatever you believe in, that's how you adapt. That's how you evolve. That's how certain creatures or animals become certain animals or whatever, because there was a need for it within, like a snow fox, right? Foxes were originally all orange. It turned white. Over time, it evolved white. Why? Because that's how it survived, right? The why needs to survive. How? It eventually evolved to add white first so it could hide from other predators. So they both touched on that why in completely different perspectives, and it kind of just, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, that's very insightful, the different whys at different points in life, but they both created not the same how, but a how in each of their trajectories, in life. And then passing it on to others, I think, is the big part. So I'm just taken in by all this, sitting here listening like, man, I'm very fortunate to listen to these different bits of knowledge from people that are successful in life. I think a lot of people wait to talk a lot, and I'm a talker, but I'm sitting here listening like, that's some good shit. Write this down. I'm just being real, man. You know me, man. I'm like, this is some good stuff, bro.
Well, the funny part about all this is that y'all are servicing your community. And for Dr. Miller, that's a LLC.
Oh, let's go. Talk about
okay.
I don't
that was a good segue for that.
Hey,
let's get it.
Nah, I can get paid.
Hey, I want to say too about the whys. Of course, my whys have changed. When I was 5, my why changed. My why was because I convinced my dad that mayonnaise that was in the underneath the shopping cart you stole. You didn't forget about it. You stole it. You know,
You're luring up already.
Oh, time out.
Oh, that was funny.
Mr. Stevens, did you hear this?
I did.
You got him at 5.
I did. You're not getting away with anything. not even.
No.
You already trying to prosecute your dad at 5 years old?
Oh man.
Listen, we're gonna talk about this after the show.
Oh.
You were the ultimate bully. I'm sorry, Lori. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to hear the new why, man. I like the first why though.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's hear that why. Let's hear that why.
Okay.
That's
I
the
like
first
it,
why. As you're growing up, you know, you hear about lawyers having a lavish lifestyle. So those were my whys when I was young. But you know, my whys as I got older and experiencing things, you know, in high school, like I said, I saw what I discussed beforehand. I saw one of my closest friends get sentenced to life in prison for a crime that he didn't do, and he's still there. You know, and that changed my why to people don't have voices, and I want to be that voice. Law is a very complex field, and I want to be able to have voices for those people that don't have the voice. And then, you know, I did an internship at an office, and I saw how, like, it was the appointed case, and it wasn't a huge deal because it wasn't retained. It was just, oh, it's appointed. We'll look at it right before court. And it was just like, this is someone's life. And, you know, it was like, they need good attorneys. And so my whys they just changed throughout. And then, you know, my ultimate goal is to be the first Black Supreme Court Justice, first Black woman Supreme Court Justice. That's my ultimate goal. United States. But that also changed because, you know, it was like, as I learned about where law originates from and how you actually can make a change in law is the United States Supreme Court, because that's what puts the hammer down.
Right.
The law of the land.
Yeah, that's the law of the land, supreme law of the land. And so, you know, so it's just, so I think people that have whys when they're young that say, I know what I want to do, such as myself, I think your whys will have to develop into something bigger than just, because they make a lot of money. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or because my dad stole that mayonnaise and
And I got his ass.
Hey, let's not talk about them ring pops that you stole out the store when you was younger. That's what really made you want to become a lawyer, so you could defend yourself. You stole ring pops out the store.
So funny.
I heard the story. You stole ring pops out the store.
that story is false.
Hey, I will verify, Lori. Affidavit or not, I will verify. But y'all really have said a lot of amazing things. You know, and Mr. Stevens is over here, you know. And the thing is, if y'all know anything about us too, we've been living in a county where it's a trap. Our whole lives. We live in it. And excuse me, Dr. Miller, she became famous, so she said Robeson County instead of Robinson County.
I was talking about this.
Robeson County. Robeson.
Robinson, honey. But Pembroke, they made me say
Pembroke.
Robeson and Pembroke instead of Pembroke.
I hit the brook.
Hey, listen, shout out to UNC Pembroke, North Carolina, for raising some great people here.
Hey.
But if you grew up in Robinson County, you know, it's like, you know, I've always had this creed where you're able to go anywhere in this world and make it. The funny thing is, growing up in that county and it's being a trap, it stops a lot of your dreams, goals, aspirations. There's a lot of people that we talk to on a regular basis. And that's kind of our round table in a sense, you know, and that's kind of why we're here today too, because like I can explain to y'all and talking to these people, you hear a lot. Nobody has the hope or the admiration or the dream to get away. Even though if you really knew, you're more powerful elsewhere than here. You know, a lot of times we get caught up in the aspect of knowing that, oh, this is home. I hold a certain weight. But if you go somewhere else, your weight is bigger. And so the reason why I'm elaborating on that a little bit, because y'all, I'm going into the what about this. And when I say the what made me actually do something for the kids being developed was that growing up here and not knowing exactly what my purpose was going to be. Like when I quit football at 15 years old, I knew I had a purpose, but I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know what the impact was going to be. I didn't know what I was going to be able to do to help people. And it came to me kind of as I kept venturing in life, except for the name. I knew what I had to do. I didn't know what it was going to be. And giving y'all a little bit of tidbit right now, this is, a lot of stuff that we talk about in this show is why do something for the kids Incorporated was formulated. Why is it here now? What are we doing for you? What are we trying to do to help you? And so this roundtable that we have today, I feel like it's very monumental because it's going to start additional roundtables for us to talk about different issues, different situations, different caveats that can help people get to where they need to be. Because the thing is, y'all have shared so much today that it has been, we probably gonna have to do 3 more shows on this topic alone. Look at Dr. Nikki. She done got excited. She's like, I'm coming back on. I'm gonna talk. Man, y'all gonna hear this voice. She's gonna be serving her community LLC. I'm sorry, serving our community LLC.
Our. And you know what? Because I'm thinking about so much other stuff I could have said based on what David and Esquire had conveyed, but it's you can't tell everything in one setting. You just can't. It's just so much to talk about, and it is in depth and it's long because it's just a needed topic.
It is
Really,
especially for today's era and the youth. If they don't know, a lot of them are gone astray because of upbringing. And based on my study, it's either what takes place in the house or within the community. Those are the direct impacts of an adolescent, of youth, young adults. You know what I'm saying? So what they see, they become. And if they don't have any trailblazers or individuals like us changing the trajectory of themselves and being an advocate, right? Being an advocate and being a voice for them, then who else is going to do it?
True.
Then, like they say, they're going to continue to build prisons because that's where they're going. The military has got so lenient on a lot of stuff based on how I was raised and what my father used to say. It's like, why aren't more people in the military? And so it's like they're confused. They really want direction, but they have to build trust with you in order to allow you to talk back to them. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. And I would say this.
This is a series.
Listen, why did you think I reached out to you? And Esquire and Google.
I'm saying, listen.
You know what's funny on the military piece? I told you I didn't want to join, but now I'd recommend. Now that we're kind of we're not ever post-war era, but it's less turmoil. It'll always be turmoil downrange, as we call it. But, and I'm sure Dr. Miller can testify to this. You get a lot of benefits. If I would have came in as a young man, I would have established my discipline a lot earlier or reestablished it, from my athletic days. You do 3 or 4 years, you get some money, you don't get the debt, that you get going through college. And now you get to go to school. And not only is school paid for and your books are paid for, they pay you to go to school
monthly.
For those years, monthly.
Yeah.
So you're getting thousands of dollars. Because, one of the big things when I was in school was rent, right? Just rent. They pay your rent, and then you get additional financial aid, as she can tell you, and you get additional grants from military because you're now a vet, right?
Yeah.
And the school's paid for, and you get book money. And the longer you serve, you can get. So for me, I think I have up to 5 years of advanced education. Just a little tidbit, because she's serious. I know she can speak on it.
No, you speak from your experience. Go ahead.
But military-wise, I didn't want to join, but now that I look back, I would recommend it. It's not coming to do as long as you ain't got to do 10 years, but do your little 3 or 4 year contract. Get your feet wet, get in, get out. You don't have to do a dangerous job. You can do like an admin job or something. The benefits are ridiculous. Now that I'm on the 10-year mark getting out, I feel like I won, because the Army, it takes a lot out of you. They get back every single thing that they want out of you. So in the end, you'd have to be a little more selfish and get back what you want. But when you come out with a free education, my education previously paid off. I mean, that alone in itself. So like she was saying, I guess my point is the options you didn't realize. I didn't think about you know, maybe if I did 3 years, it would have been a different path. But just options, like she's saying, it goes back to kids. These kids don't know that, right?
They don't know.
I didn't know that, you know? So it's just them, hey, if you don't want to go to school, if you want to work at Big Lots, why do you want to work? Are you going to save money for school? Or, you know, if you do want to go, just different options, not say the military thing, but different organizations provide different benefits. For example, Home Depot will sponsor Olympic athletes. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
So if you happen to be an Olympic athlete, it's a random fact that Google, I don't know why I know that. They will sponsor Olympic athletes, Home Depot. They have a program because, you know, it's an American-based company that, you know, and we don't know these things and these kids don't know these things. And I lived in Robco a long time. There's a lot of athleticism there that it doesn't get the shine it deserves. It gets doled out. I've wrestled some tough-ass kids from Lumberton, right? And I think, you know, those kids with different mentorship are more experienced to the training I had outside the state. May have been better competition, but with the little bit they had, man, you always knew if you had a kid from Lumberton, that kid was going to be tough. He was going to be strong. He had a rough upbringing. And even if what he lacked in skill, he was going to come at it in will, you know? That's just something I always remember wrestling kids from Lumberton and Rob Curry. I was like, yo, it's tough.
Wow. I appreciate you saying that about our
Oh, absolutely.
Because the average person don't say anything good about anybody else out of Rob.
So the coach of Lumberton High School, the former coach Jim Caraway, wrestled at Pembroke with my coach. So, and it was a white guy, right? So he was always, you know, Lumberton's a majority black, so they had a, you know, white surfer-looking coach. So it was always so awkward back in the day when people saw that because they was like, why is he working here? Because he's like, I picked Lumberton. They have hard-working community and kids. He intentionally chose somewhere with less funding, but kids that had heart and will to learn, and that's why he worked there after going to Pembroke for so long. And so, it's a strong program. Like, there was always a testament to will that hard work will overcome talent, and that's just the way it is. So, yeah, I just want to pitch that out there, man. Definitely big up to Lumberton and the wrestling program.
No problem. Shout out to Lumberton. We will be coming through very soon. On our way, in our give back segment that we're giving back, I will be coming to Lumberton soon, dropping off cases of water to the school do something for the kids. Thank y'all for this lovely show today. And I'm going to give y'all a quick second, and I mean a quick second, because we're going to have to actually redo this particular segment again. And when I say redo this particular segment again, we're going to continue on from this conversation. Y'all let me know y'all availability, because this, like Dr. Nikki said, this is going to be a series. And we will have some other people chiming in the future series of this. But before y'all go, I would like to get y'all insight on this. If y'all can do it within 20 seconds or less, please do this for me. What advice would you give someone in life pursuing goals and dreams? And y'all have actually touched on it right before I said this, but could y'all give me one thing, one word, one phrase that y'all would give as advice to someone pursuing their goals and dreams right now as we lead out of this particular interview today?
I'll go first. For every door closed, go open another one.
Okay. Esquire.
Can't give you one word, but I would say pray about it. Make sure it's your path. Because if it's not your path, it's not going to be successful anyway. Don't let the hard times knock you down. Keep going, and you'll get there.
Mr. Goggle.
I'm going to actually combine Esquire and Silent Assassins there, some things they said. Put one foot in front of the other and faith over fear. And, for someone that's been out in the woods for 12 hours at a time with 80 pounds on my back, it's dark as shit, no light, nothing. Some of the most beautiful times come after the darkness. Just when that sunset would rise after being lost in the woods for hours, it was a symbolism for life, you know. So put one foot in front of the other, faith over fear, and some of the brightest times in life come after the darkness.
And if Mr. Stevens allowed me to speak for both of us, can I speak for both of us, Mr. Stevens?
This time.
Thank you. I have to ask permission because Mr. Stevens will regulate like Esquire over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you later about this show.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I might be in the principal's office, y'all. But a leader stands alone until someone's affected. And I've said this so much. And I remember coming up with it in 2007, talking to one of our frat brothers, also an Esquire. I don't remember his name right now. Please forgive me. But I will have the information for everybody very soon. But I told him that on his pursuit to become a lawyer, a leader stands alone until someone's affected. And that's pretty much the best advice I can give anybody. We will elaborate on that in our next segment of Serving Our Community. If Dr. Miller doesn't mind me using that for our segment.
I don't mind you using it.
Lawyer, Miss Adrian Satchel, Esquire, is it okay that I converse with Dr. Nikki about using that for our segment? I have to ask you because if you don't agree, we can't use it.
Dr. Nikki hasn't trademarked it, so you good.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. And Google, as always, thank you for taking your time and out of your busy schedule to be with us. Miss Adrian Satchel Esquire, thank you for joining us today. And Dr. Nikki, thank you for being on with us today. We usually give out our flowers at this time, but we're going to save that for the next segment of Serving Our Community. This is Do Something for the Kids podcast today. Thank y'all for joining us, for our wonderful guest and my co-host, Mr. Stevens. Everybody have a blessed day.